To answer that question, I don't think there's anything we can do to change the norm of stepmother because it's not there. We have chosen to think it's there. It's not there. However, I can say, how do we choose to accept another parental figure in the lives of our kids or in our lives? Because if it's a man, it's still a parental figure. If it's a woman, it's still a parental figure. My name is Christabel Musime. I'm a mother of 4, 2 boys, 2 girls. I actually don't consider myself a stepmother.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes, I consider myself a mother. I don't consider myself a stepmother. I won't relate with them because I do not know what the difference is. I've never felt like a stepmother and I've never been a stepmother. I am a mother, so I can't even relate with them. So I do not know what that difference is. For the few that know my story, when I met my husband, he was first my boss before he became my husband. So his daughter was my boss's daughter. So it was a bit lenient for me because I got to know her as an individual before getting to know her as my daughter. Yes, so it wasn't so much of a science for me because then I got to know her, got to understand her as a little child that she was, as the little princess that she was. So by the time me and her dad took a step forward into dating and then marriage, I already knew who she was. And it was easy for me to get into that space, just like I already knew the son and who he was. I'm blessed that I have an open-minded family. I'm blessed that my mother was an open-minded woman, a woman who didn't live on the opinions of other people, a woman who chose to say a story on her own, narrate it on her own, and understand it on her own. So yeah, I didn't have anything, any backlash from her. I didn't have any like any sarcasm from her. I didn't have any negative influence from her. No, she chose to look at it as an open thing and chose to have me make my own decision and give my own narration. Oh yes, there was media backlash. Of course, that is a constant. It had to be there. But I chose to look at them like their own opinions. Just like I have my own opinion of something happening out there in the public eye. Like, I will look at a celebrity out there and say, this shouldn't have been done like this, should have been done like that. But that's my opinion. They have their own footing in their relationship or in their field of work, and what they do to them is what's right. So I chose to look at it as their own opinion. I chose to understand, yes, this is what they think, this is what they would have done, this is what they wanted it to be like, and it's their opinion, just like everyone is entitled to their opinion. I chose to look at it as background noise. There was a lot of, negativity, there was some positives, there was some who just didn't even know what they were saying, but they just needed to be part of it. There was the FOMO. So basically, I chose to look at it as background noise. It was going to be there, and there's nothing I could do about it. I wasn't going to go and sit every single social media in-law down and tell them, this is it, this is the truth, these are the facts. No. So I just say, you know what? It's background noise. They can as well speak. I've given them a platform to talk. It is theirs for the taking. I'm going to do this my way. This might come off as arrogant, but I'm sorry. But I did nothing to nurture that relationship. It was just me and she was just her. And I just accepted her for who she was. Because you see, at the end of the day, there was nothing for me to nurture. I was not coming in as her mother. You get? To her, I'll always be either mom to or Auntie Christabel or mom. But I'll never take Isabel's position. I'll never be her mother. So there was nothing to nurture to create a mother bond. No. It was just about me knowing this is a little girl in my care, in my hands, in my home, in her dad's home, and this is it. So that was it. There was nothing like, say, I'm nurturing, or I have to do this, or I have to, pamper her, or no. Yeah. Yes, so it was just because I had a daughter of my own. Coming into this marriage, I had a daughter of my own. So just the way I was raising my own daughter is the way I was willing to raise her. So there was nothing to say I'm nurturing or pampering or anything, no. My daughter has never been my friend. Yeah. She has always been my daughter. She has always been that little girl. Basically, that never changed. We still stayed the same. Yes, we still, there is a percentage of friendship. but the higher percentage is the mother figure in it all, or let me call it the auntie figure in it all. So yes, so that relationship never changed. The way we were 5 years ago is the same way we are today. Actually, 6 years ago is the same way we are today. We have boundaries, we have respect, we have limits, we have rules. The fact that when I'm home with my kids, Isabel knows that I'm home with the kids. She has learned to give me boundaries. She has learned to respect me. And she has learned to trust me. Trust being key. Trust and boundaries is key. She has learned to trust that I can have her little angel and her little angel is safe in my hands. And she has learned to trust that, you know what? The fact that when she's home in that territory, that's the territory she's being raised in. So it's being raised according to the rules of that territory, the regulations of that territory, and basically the general order of that territory. So she never steps in, she never says anything. It's like she's rooting for me. Yes. This is you, do it your way. Yes. And then when she's back at her mom's, me and the dad never set foot, we never step, we never delegate anything. We never give instructions. It's according to her mom's rules. I treat all my kids equally. Yeah. I believe in fair punishment. I believe in following rules in the house. I believe in respect. So if Safina breaks one of the house rules and the punishment is, say, no TV, it's the same punishment going to apply to Myla. So I think to me that's what has helped me be, let's say, the norm of, evil stepmom, like you call them, saying maybe mine is beaten and the others. No, in my house, you're all flat the same. Because to me, you're all the same. So if we have made for dinner, let's say it's rice and peas, it's rice and peas. You don't want rice and peas? That's fine. You miss dinner. There's no other alternative. So it's the same thing. They're all flat rate the same. He supports our friendship, that's what I can say. Because most people have chosen to follow the cultural norms of the past. Most people have decided to fight battles that won their battles. Most people have decided to carry the grudges of our ancestors forward into today. No, today we are independent people. I walked into my marriage independently. So I got to appreciate everyone that was in it independently. I didn't carry anyone's grudge. I didn't carry anyone's belief. I didn't carry anyone's past. My daughter didn't call me mom until this year, on my birthday. For all the years I've been married to her dad, she's called me Auntie Christabel. And I never pushed her to call me mommy because I knew that wasn't my title. I knew that wasn't my position. I knew that wasn't my place. I knew as much as she's in my home, I may play the role, but it is not my title. And I respected the one person that had that title, full ownership of that title. It was until this year that it came naturally to her to say it. Of course, it felt good, but it was until this year that it came naturally to her to say it. So, first and foremost is you need to learn that these kids have no say in what's going on in your life, or did not actually maybe push for what's going on in your life. Maybe it's not what they want. Maybe you do not even know what they have to say about it. So you cannot say, because, when we grow up in a community of knowing this is daddy, this is mommy. So things happen, people split, stories end. But when these stories end, when all these people split, you need to know that these kids have to be, eased into it in the right way. So you cannot carry and bring another woman home or get someone else because your old journey came to an end, and then you get someone new into your journey and you expect to just throw them onto the kids. This is a new party in their equation. So you need to let them make their own decision if they'll let this person in or not in, okay? Because at the end of the day, you're either traumatizing the child or you're either creating this biased position in their mind if you force this onto them. So for years, my daughter referred to me as Auntie Christabel, and I was very okay with it. Because I knew there was respect. She referred to me as Auntie Christabel. That meant there was a respect of an adult. She knew I was superior to her, and that was okay to me. You get? Until it came to her naturally to feel like, okay, she plays a motherly role in my life. I can as well call her mommy. I don't support divorce. But there are times when a journey comes to an end. So what do you do about it? Huh? I won't say much about that, but I think also at times when you're going through a separation or divorce or anything, and it includes kids, I think you need to find ways to talk to these kids depending on the age bracket. Because some of them are impressionable. You know, today the media is dishing out anything and everything. Kids know what's happening. You might hide these things from them thinking, you know, they won't tell. Let's keep this from them. But kids, you can tell. They're watching TV. They know what's happening. They're watching all these movies, these series and everything. Even cartoons today have divorced marriages and all that, divorced parents. So kids are seeing all this. So you need to find ways to communicate with your kids if you're going through this. I think it just takes you having the, how should I call it? You having the decency to sit your kids down and explain it to them in the best way they can understand, so that they do not have to resent one party or the new party that is coming in. If you go on to Masozera Africa and listen to one of our podcasts that I did with Myla's mom, you will notice that as much as Myla's mom was going through this season, you know, the separation and all, she never really put it on her kid. She never really let her kid face the heat or whatever was going on. She let her daughter know that daddy was an independent, mommy was an independent. We have chosen different paths, but you can love daddy the way you love him. You can love me the way you love me. So it was basically an easy stage for her daughter to know that, you know what, no one is in the wrong. You get? Things have happened, something has happened, but no one is in the wrong. I just get to maybe have 2 homes, or I get to have, you know, 2 countries to live in and all that. Yes, so I think easing it on the kids means how you portray the other person in front of the kids. That's one. How you portray the other person in front of the kids is one. How you communicate to them during that time is 2. And how you explain the situation to them is 3. You see, in the beginning, that's why I told you I don't know what a stepmom is, and I can't relate to it. And in my world, it doesn't exist. So that's the thing. People have given it a tag. And the fact that they've given it a tag, they've given it life. Yes. So if you say that's color white, anything related to that color will always be seen as white. If you say that's gold, anything of that kind will always be seen as gold. You get? So I didn't give it a tag. I didn't give it value. I didn't give it life. Growing up, our mother had a saying in her language, Runyankoye, where she would say, "Enjute kufunda, imitima niyo kufunda," meaning a house never gets small. It's the heart that gets small. So we grew up in a house whereby even if it was just 3 bedrooms, in holidays, you know, you would find almost about 15 people in the house, and then you're wondering, okay, I think these are just visitors, they're about to leave. And then at night time is when you'd be like, okay, all these people are staying here. And then you'd find the kids' room is packed, the living room has mattresses, and then, you know, the guest bedroom has mattresses. And we were happy, we were jolly, because it was the togetherness that made us happy. We didn't mind how have you slept, we didn't mind who have you shared a bed with. No. As it was about the fact that you're going to wake up in the morning and this bunch is here playing cards, this bunch is cleaning the house, this bunch is cooking. That's what brought the fun home. So it would be a combination of cousins, aunties, uncles, friends, and that's how we were raised. So we didn't get to experience what it felt like to have other siblings from out, but then we got to experience what it felt like growing up with our cousins that stayed permanently home, so it became like as if they were part of us. Yes, so to us, home was always open to anyone and anybody. Yes, so we never felt the need to feel like, you know, this part has to be segregated. No. And even raising us, our mom raised us the same. You know, there's this norm of when you visit, you can't be beaten because, you know, African parents have that. You get to, you know, your kid is somewhere and they won't beat them, they won't do this because they're not their kids, their kid will spoil. And no, our mom, that was different. Our mom, once you were in her house, it was her rules, her regulations, her way of life. If you all have to be up at 7 a.m., that's it. You all have to be up at 7. She doesn't care whose kid you are. She doesn't care whose family you come from. You're inside the house. It's 7 a.m. You're treated just like the kids she's given birth to. So I think it was the way we were raised. It made it easy for me not to have segregation or for me not to look at anyone else as an outsider. No. As long as you're in here, we are all the same. Don't get me wrong, I don't name things or give value to things. I do give value to things. I do name things, but only those that are worthy to be named. Only those that make sense to be named. Only those that make sense to be given value to. You get? Just like I'll give an example of if I got a 50,000 note right now and I got a piece of paper and cut that piece of paper into the same shape of the 50,000 note and cringed them and then put them down and ask someone, pick up the note with value. They will pick up the 50,000 note. You get? They won't pick up the paper, but they are both cut in the same shape, same size. I've cringed them in the same way. They will pick up the 50,000 note. Why? Because naturally on its own, it has value. So there are things naturally on your own that they have value. Even if you don't name them, even if you don't what, they have value. They stand on their own. Yes. To me, I feel this bit of stepmom, normal mom, what mom has no value to me. So I'm not giving it life. Why don't we give them a name that is non-biased? Why don't we look at them as, what effect would it bring if we said, what is wrong with being a parental figure, other than what is wrong with being a stepmother? Yes. So why don't we give it a new name? So to answer your question, I'll say, I think the way we can change the attitude to parental figures, to new parental figures in relationships, is the fact that we need to stop carrying the hate from our ancestors. We need to stop carrying the hate from our past parental relationships, let's say our parents, because looking at it, it may not be disclosed so much, but our divorce rates are high in Uganda. So let's stop looking at maybe if my parents' marriage failed and my father brought in a new woman and she didn't treat us right, she wasn't the mother figure we expected. So let's stop carrying that into our today relationships, into our today marriages. Start your marriage afresh, start your relationship afresh. Look at things with a new light and new perspective. Yes, these kids are not to blame. These kids are as innocent can be. They were brought into this world without their consent. They were brought into this world without their knowledge. But you two adults chose and said, it's time, we need an offspring. So when you come in and you find that these adults decide to have an offspring and you come in to parent this offspring, do not come with hate, do not come with anger, do not come with resentment. Come clean, fresh and clean. Come with a new mindset knowing, you know what? This is a new journey, this is a new story. Let's see how it unfolds.